Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, in this lesson, we're going to be speaking about al-badal. So al-badal can roughly be translated as the substitute, as the substitute. And as we're going to see, it's a word that comes in a sentence and it sort of substitutes another word. So it's in terms of a proper definition, if you will, it's tabi'un maqsood bin hukmi. Tabi' means that it's a follower. And we cover that tabi' in the Arabic language in grammar. A tabi' means a noun that does not have its own i'rab, but rather it follows the i'rab of a word that comes before it. So there are four different types of tawabi' in the Arabic language. One of them is the badal, there's also the na'at, for example, the adjective, and two others. So it's a tabi', meaning that it's a noun that does not have its own i'rab, but rather it's going to follow the i'rab of word that comes before it. Maqsoodun bin hukmi. And the badal is the one that's actually being intended by the meaning of the sentence. So maqsood bin hukm means that the badal, even though it's the substitute, it's the one that's actually being intended by the meaning that the sentence is giving. So it's a tabi' on maqsood bin hukmi, it's a follower that is the one that's truly intended with the ruling the sentence indicates, بلا واسطة بينه وبين متبوعه, and it's mentioned without any intercessor, without anything coming between it, the badal itself, and the word that it's coming to substitute. So it comes right after the word that it is coming to substitute, quote unquote. What is this word? It's mentioned here in brackets that al-badal يمهد له باسم يذكر قبله يسمى المبدل منه. That the badal, the substitute, يمهد له, it is prepared. Okay, it is introduced, if you will, باسم يذكر قبله, with a noun that's mentioned before it, and this noun that's mentioned before that is preparing it, يسمى المبدل منه, is called the one that's being substituted. So for example, if I say جاء زيد أخوك, this would be translated as Zayd came your brother. Zayd came your brother. So when I said, for example, جاء زيد, there's a lot of different Zayds. So which Zayd are you talking about? أخوك, your brother. So when I say جاء زيد أخوك, quote unquote, what I'm really trying to say here is that your brother came. So Zaydun is coming here as a mubdalumin, is coming here as the one that's being substituted, and akhuk is the substitute that is coming to yani clarify, to specify which Zayd I'm talking about. So in reality, what's really being intended by the sentence is that your brother came. But which brother Zayd? So جاء زيد أخوك, your brother Zayd came pretty much. Or Zayd came, who's your brother, yani. So the badal is a tabi'. It doesn't have its own i'rab, but rather it has the same i'rab as Zayd. So because Zayd is the fa'il here, the one doing the action, akhuk is also going to be marfu', and it's maqsood bin hukmi. It's the one that's really being intended by the ruling. Because when I'm saying that Zayd came, what I'm really trying to say is that your brother Zayd came, right? And it has no intercessor, nothing coming in between Zayd and Akhuk. So that's why it's called the badal. So Zaydun is going to be the mubdalu min, and Akhuk is going to be the badal, and the badal always takes the same exact i'rab as the mubdalu min. So if Zayd was Zaydan, for example, it will be Akhan or Akhaka. And if Zayd was majrurun, so it was Zaydin, it would be Akhika wa hakada. So that's what the badal is in a very brief sense. Now in the Arabic language, there's many different types of badal. Okay, I'm just going to mention four different types of badal, which are the main ones that you try to remember. So we have four types of badal. We have badalun kull min al-kull. This is pretty much yani that the badal is an exact substitute for the word that's being mentioned before. So it's an exact substitute for the mubdalu min. So badalul kull min al-kull means that it is completely substituting the other noun, if you will. So it's mentioned here, al-badalu yutabiku al-mubdalu minhu fil ma'ana. This is that the substitute is exactly the same as the mubdalu minhu in terms of meaning. Like the example we gave. جاء زيد أخوك, this literally means your brother Zayd came pretty much. Yani Zayd and Akhuka mean the same thing because we're talking about the exact same people, the exact same person, if I should say. And Akhuka is coming to completely substitute the Mubdalu min Zaydun, which is just mentioned to sort of prepare and to clarify who I mean by your brother, if you will. Then we also have a second type of badal, which is badalul ba'di min al-kull. Badalul ba'di min al-kull. هو الذي يكون فيه البدل جزءا من المبدل منه. This is when the badal is not going to be the exact same thing as a mubdalu minhu. The badal is not going to be the exact same thing as a word that's coming to substitute. But rather the badal is going to be ba'du, is going to be part of the mubdalu min. So this will make it clear, inshallah. So if I was to say أكلت الرغيفة نفسه, أكلت الرغيفة نفسه, she ate الرغيفة, يعني the piece of bread, نفسه, half of it. So نفسه here is بدل بعض من كل. So nifs is the badal, it's the one that's truly being intended here, but it's specifying and it's clarifying, if you will, that what's meant here by a raghifa, a piece of bread, is half of it. Is half of it. So أكلت الرغيفة نفسه, she ate the bread, نفسه, half of it. So نفسه is obviously only a part of the totality of a raghifa, a piece of bread, or a piece of bread, yes. Then the third type of badal is badal ijtimal. بدل الاشتمال وهو الذي يدل على معنى في ذات متبوعه أي ليس جزءا حقيقيا. بدل الاشتمال is very similar to the one we mentioned here, بدل بعض من كل, but it's slightly different because this is when the بدل is indicating a meaning that is found in the مبدل من. It's not a part of it. It's not a juz. It's not something that can actually be broken down into pieces or broken down into different parts. But rather, badal al-shimal is that you're indicating something that is part of the mubdalu minhu, but it's not a physical part. It's not a physical part of it, but rather it's sort of a metaphorical. It sort of has to do with the meaning of what the mubdalu minhu is indicating. The greatest example of this, inshallah, is a famous verse, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الشَّهْرِ الْحَرَامِ. They ask you concerning the holy month. قِتَالٍ فِي, fighting in it. So what they're really asking about is not the holy month, but fighting in the holy month. But fighting in the holy month is part of the meaning of what yani ash-shahr al-haram means, or it's part of ash-shahr al-haram. It's part of the sanctity of the holy month, but it's not it in and of itself. It's not a juz and haqiqi. It's not an actual part of the shahr al-haram. It's not something that can be broken apart. It's not something that can be put into different pieces, but it is indicating a meaning that is found in ash-shahr al-haram. So يسألونك يا شهر الحرام, they're asking you about the holy month, قتال فيه, fighting in it. So that's what's really meant here by what they're asking about. What they're really asking about is fighting during the month, the holy month, if you will. So this is Badr al-Ishtimal. So the way to differentiate between Badr al-Ishtimal and Badr al-Ba'd al-Kull is that if the thing that you're talking about is actually a physical part of the thing, then it's Badr al-Ba'd al-Kull. Like I ate half the piece of bread, I memorized half the Quran. This is an actual physical piece of it. But badal ijtimal is when the badal is not an actual physical piece of the thing that is coming to substitute, but it's just a metaphorical meaning or a meaning that the mubdalu minhu can contain or can indicate. Then finally we have badal ghalat, which is just that you made a mistake. So you say, for example, ركبت فرسا حمارا. I mounted a faras, a horse. Oh, I'm sorry, a himar. I meant a donkey. So himar is coming as yani to substitute the error. So badal ghalat literally means the substitute of an error. So by accident, my tongue slipped and I said I rode a horse, and then I realized that I made a mistake, so I say himaran. So himaran is badal ghalat. It's coming to rectify and to substitute the mistake that I mentioned, which was a horse. I didn't mean a horse, sorry, it was a donkey. So rakibtu farasan himaran. I mounted a horse. Oh, sorry, I meant himaran, a donkey. So these are the 4 types of badal that all are included in the meaning of what a badal is.